Welcome back. This is the Thursday edition of the nation's most revered breakfast show, Good Morning Namibia. Now, the strong Namibian dollar against the US dollar in July at 18.21 cents is among many factors that fuel prices will remain unchanged for this particular month of August. Motorists will once again breathe a sigh of relief as both diesel grades will remain unchanged. This comes after the Ministry of Mines and Energy completed its monthly fuel prices review. The ministry, among others, cited the exchange rate figures for the period between the 1st to the 22nd of July for the fuel prices that do not change. Joining us with more on this, economic analyst, Mr. Klaus Schade. Good morning, Mr. Schade, and welcome back to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning, Mr. Kisting, and good morning, Namibia.
How are you doing on this gift of a Thursday morning, Mr. Schade?
Quite well, coping with the chilly winter weather.
Indeed, indeed. Now, Mr. Schade, before we get specifically to the impact of the exchange rate on the fuel prices, could we, in broad strokes and in general terms, talk about what this means for the country, seeing that the Namibian dollar is holding its own, is doing relatively well against the US dollars, at least if we have the period 1 July to 22 July in consideration?
Yes, actually the South African rand, and since the Namibia dollar is pegged on a one-to-one basis on the South African rand, the Namibia dollar as well, these currencies started appreciating against the US dollar, and not only the US dollar, also British pound, the euro, and even other BRIC currencies, Brazilian real, and so on. They started appreciating already back in May this year. And the main reasons are certainly related to the political events in South Africa, namely the elections, and when it became clear that the ANC might enter into a coalition with the more business-friendly Democratic alliance rather than with the Umkhonto we Sizwe or the economic freedom fighters, it strengthened investor confidence. And investors came back to South Africa and invested there and strengthened the South African rand. And furthermore, since the elections, we haven't seen any load shedding in South Africa. So therefore, again, investor sentiments are more positive, and that certainly contributed to the appreciation of the South African rand and therefore Namibia dollar since May. And we have seen now already the benefits in terms of stabilizing fuel prices, although international oil prices have increased over the past couple of weeks, but lower shipping costs and the effect of the exchange rate appreciation have resulted in a stabilization of fuel prices in the country.
Of course, as far as South Africa is concerned, in the end, a government of national unity was born between the former ruling party and some other parties. Now, again, apart from the impact on fuel prices, and you also mentioned shipping costs specifically, what else would be the impact of the appreciation of the South African rand against the US dollars, a dollar and other currencies for the country and its people?
Yeah, you're quite right. It's not only on fuel prices, but that is certainly what the consumers feel immediately and most. But in general, imports of goods and services that are usually charged in other currencies than the South African rand, be it in US dollar, be it in euros, yen, or whatever. These imports become slightly less expensive, so cheaper. So it benefits imports into the country. But on the other hand, of course, exporters will feel the slight appreciation because they receive less in domestic currency due to the strengthening of the Namibia dollar than they used to be. So our mineral exporters, but also tourism. Tourists would need to spend slightly more on Namibian goods and services because the currency is stronger. So in general, it benefits imports from outside the common monetary area, the South African rand, and exports, and it increases the prices of exports to other regions.
Very well. Now, Economics 101 teaches us that appreciation is the opposite of depreciation, but we're not all economists, Mr. Schade. In layperson's terms, help us understand the difference between the two, and in this instance, what is the appreciation difference between the currencies?
The appreciation implies that a currency, in this case the Namibia dollar, becomes stronger, meaning if you are a foreigner, you need to pay more for the Namibia dollar to get one Namibia dollar. And if the currency depreciates, meaning your currency becomes weaker, then we as Namibians need to pay more Namibia dollar, for instance, to buy €1. If we want to travel abroad, we need to spend more Namibia dollar to buy €1, $1, or 1 unit of another currency. So these are the differences. Depreciation, you have a weaker currency, which usually benefits exports, but also increases the prices of imports. And appreciation is just the opposite, that exports might become more expensive, or exporters receive less in domestic currency for their exports, while imports become slightly cheaper.
Thank you, Mr. Schade. Now, despite this appreciation of the South African rand and as a result the Namibian dollar against the US dollar, fuel prices remain unchanged. Why did they not go down?
Because you have at least three factors that impact on the fuel prices, on the domestic fuel prices. That is, first of all, and most importantly, of course, international oil prices. And international oil prices increased in July compared to June. So this is one of the main factors. But then, of course, you have the shipping costs, meaning bringing the oil or the oil product, in this case diesel and petrol, to the country. So the transportation costs, the shipping costs play a role, and then, of course, the strength of the local currencies. So while oil prices have been on the increase, even if you convert oil prices into Namibia dollar on the international level, they were still slightly higher in July than in June, but shipping costs apparently played a positive role, so that this increase was eliminated, and therefore fuel prices remain unchanged. And yeah, as I said, because of the divergent trends, higher oil prices, but stronger currency, we haven't seen any increase in fuel prices, but the strengthening of the Namibia dollar was not strong enough to result in fuel price decreases.
In conclusion, Mr. Schade, what does the immediate future look like for the Namibian consumer?
It is challenging to predict oil prices, to be honest, because we have seen quite some fluctuations over the past couple of months, and in particular the recent events in the Middle East, the attacks in Israel, Lebanon, but also in Tehran, the events, they can result in further destabilization in this region, and this region is responsible for at least a third of total global output of oil, and all the oil passes through these narrow straits in that region that are easily reached by modern weapons, and therefore shipping companies already diverted their shipping lines from the Suez Canal through southern Africa, the tip of Africa, to get to the US and Europe. So a destabilization in this area can not only disrupt oil flows, but also increase shipping costs again. On the other hand, we have seen an increase in output of oil, especially because new producers came on board, like Guyana, a small country in Southern America, with a relatively significant output of oil that had a dampening effect on oil prices. So one needs to see how these various factors play out. But I expect stronger, or that the South African rand and Namibian dollar remain at this level because of this political stabilization in South Africa, but also improvement in electricity supply, and the government is tackling the transport infrastructure challenges that it has faced. So there's more positive business sentiments, and that certainly also strengthened the currency.
Herr Schade, wir bedanken uns sehr herzlich bei Ihnen für Ihre Zeit und Ihre Kündigkeit.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Was economic analyst Mr. Klaus Schade, helping us contextualize the announcement of the Ministry of Mines and Energy on the fuel prices remaining unchanged for this month of August. We'll be back after a brief break.